What is the funniest ST that you saw at school? One kid was walking around and asking kids in his class for a dime because he just 10 cents away from buying something from the vending machine. Then he sees one of his friends walking in hallway and asks him for a dime, and he says, "Yeah, I got a dime. I'll hook you up in the parking after school." He was talking about drugs. But the dean was literally 10 feet. Long story short, they found drugs and a knife in his backpack when they searched him. What is the punishment for being caught in school with a knife? Death. Or worse, expulsion. This guy was being a douche to another kid in the bus lines after school. He bullied his way in front of another kid and was still being a douche. I guess the kid had enough of his ST and pants him in front of the whole school. Everyone saw and had a good laugh. The bully didn't show up the next 2 days. Bullies getting what they deserve is always hilarious. I read this wrong. I decided to read it as ST his pants in front of the whole school, too. Someone at my primary school decided to do a presentation in assembly. Keep in mind, in front of the entire year group. His presentation was about why the school should let us leave early. His main point was we don't learn anything anyway, so why should they keep us there when we could be having fun? Doesn't seem that fun now, but keep in mind I was in year 5, so this was absolutely hilarious. A kid put OM instead of organism in a presentation. I was in robotics. Our supervising teacher had gone to his office to get something. And we were getting ready to leave. It was like 7 p.m. and we were all hyped up on pure adrenaline and the smell of gearbox lube. Somehow, a discussion over what exercises to do to get fit started. At the start, it was innocent stuff like, you cannot only lose weight on your stomach area. You gotta lose the fat between your inner organs first. Okay. But like, how? Why can he do 10 more push-ups than you can? Quote. Unsurprisingly, considering we're a bunch of teenagers left alone in an empty classroom. It quickly spiraled into a debate into what would happen if you did lots of squats. Would your BT get smaller and flatter due to the fat loss? Or would it get bigger due to muscle gain? A girl, which we'll call C, has her jacket half on, dangling off of one shoulder. And she says, in the most serious voice, "No. You are all wrong. You get sculpted AS. No. No. Hear me out. Have you seen those Greek statues? Sculpted AS. Dot. She keeps repeating the phrase to emphasize her point, and it gradually escalates. Sculpted AS. Sculpted AS. Sculpted AS. Sculpted AS. Quote. At that moment, our supervising teacher walks in. The door was open, and the school was basically empty at this point. C has her back to the door, and is busy emphasizing sculpted AS. I look over, and our teacher has the most bewildered, confused yet amused look on his face. It was priceless. I collapsed on the floor due to laughter. And while wheezing I told them, Mr. Pia's here. Dot. Quote. A look of horror crossed C's face after she realized what I was saying. And she turned around and started profusely apologizing. At which point our teacher said, "You guys continue," and sat down in a desk in an optimal viewing spot. It was glorious. Sculpted AS. I scrolled miles down, and this is the first one to make me laugh out loud more than a nose exhale. Have a much-deserved upvote. First thing that comes to mind. Friend pointed a laser pen into a science class goldfish's eye. The fish turned upside down and floated to the top of the tank. Teacher didn't notice, but some other kids saw, and we were worried it would get back to us. Lesson ended. Next day. Fish was fine. Sounds like that fish taught y'all a lesson that day. Guess he schooled you, haha. I think teacher bought a replacement fish. Who's gonna tell him? In 6th grade, there was a lockdown drill. So obviously we went outside. And then we saw 2 birds SG. Freshman year. Honors. World history. Watching some documentary about Napoleon. One of those that has reenactment scenes included. Guy asked the teacher, with a totally straight face, if it was actual footage. My class actually had a debate about whether or not this video of a reenactment of the Civil War was real. Needless to say, it wasn't. In high school we had a massive, planned food fight that was hyped up for like 2 weeks. I saw one kid who was always pretty clumsy and awkward get sprayed by a pudding cup that landed on the table in front of him and splatter all over his body. I threw a full PB&J sandwich sidearm like a frisbee and nailed this girl in the face. In middle school, this one kid who had some special needs had to do a small presentation in front of the class and he was wearing sweatpants. He somehow got a BR halfway through and it was blatantly obvious. I felt bad for him at the time, but looking back it was pretty funny. He didn't seem to give AFK though. Not funny for me but funny for classmates. I ate something during lunch in grade 2. And it caused me to feel the urge to ST. At the time I was terrified of SG in any restroom other than at home for various reasons. So I willed myself to hold it in. 2 classes later, I was feeling really uncomfortable and could not focus on the lesson. As luck would have it, the teacher called upon me to write the answer to a question on the board. I tried refusing, but the teacher wouldn't have it. And she grabbed my wrist and yanked me out of my chair. An explosive diarrhea situation occurred. And since I was wearing shorts, the ST ran down my legs and onto the floor. I had to transfer to a new school the next year to escape bullying. Bro, imagine you're the teacher. You have to go home to your husband and explained how you grabbed a kid so hard they had explosive diarrhea. Grabbed a kid so hard they shat their entire family out of town. OST. Freshman year. There was a vegetarian kid who sat at my lunch table. One day for lunch, he wanted to eat but just wanted his lunch without the meat, which they could have easily done for him. The lunch lady refused to do it. So he jumped over the counter, got it himself, jumped back over and slammed his money down by the register before walking out of the cafeteria. High school principal took away the phone of the sophomore class president before school hours in the cafeteria and he tackled her and broke her arm. 2 guys got into a fist fight in the cafeteria. But they're pretty scrawny and terrible fighters, so it was comical for the people watching. Instead of throwing fists, they're slapping each other and had each other in a headlock. People were throwing dollar bills at them. One of the spectators grabbed a couple scrunchies and started putting them in the fighter's hair. There was another fight. This one was between 2 girls. One girl pinned the other girls and started pulling out her weave and tossing them around. People were picking the hair extensions. Throughout the day you can see people wearing them. People were throwing dollar bills at them. LMAO. I lost it when I read people FG wore the wig. I didn't see this because it happened to me, but my gym class we were playing volleyball and I don't know how I managed to do it, but I served the ball and it knocked me out and hit my teammate in the BS. Everyone thought it was the funniest ST ever except for us 2. We were playing volleyball once in gym class while our teacher refed. I served the ball and it went over the net right between 2 people. The one guy stuck his foot out to grab the ball instead of letting it hit the ground and it deflected off at high speed right into the head of the girl next to him. She flew sideways and ended up taking out the girl on her other side in her fall. Then the gym teacher just says "point left" in the most deadpan voice. During a school shooter assembly someone got on the loudspeaker and played Pumped Up Kicks. Really funny. Some idiot threw up in the playground during my time at elementary school and the whole playground got quarantined with yellow tape and everything. A teacher, around 35, walked into a class dressed up as Marge Simpson for Halloween. Sexy. Stupid sexy teacher. First day of the new school year couple of years ago we walk into our social studies class and saw our new teacher. She was probs in her mid-20s. Incredibly hot. Hands down hottest teacher in my school's history. She introduces herself. And then leaves to go to the bathroom. As she is walking out the door, one kid, who didn't see that she wasn't out of earshot, yelled, "She's so hot, oh my god." Quote, "See me after class." Brother dry humping his girl in a corner. She's pregnant now. Not from the dry humping. Story time. At my second elementary school, we had this kid named Jordan. For reference, Jordan looked like a real-life version of Russell from Up. Jordan normally brought a huge FG lunch. Literally packed his lunch box as full as possible. One day, he only brings 2 baby bottle pops. He begun to pour out the entire contents of the powder from both bottles onto the lunch table, and formed it into a line the length of the table. You can see where this is going. Russell from Up proceeds to snort the entire line of baby bottle pop powder like it was some grade of cocaine, while everyone was eating. I love growing up in a low-income area. Back in high school I saw this kid just totally eat it down a staircase of at least 10 steps. Then he got up immediately and ran off screaming, "I'm okay. I'm okay AAAAY." Quote, he ran off to cry in the bathroom, and to slip off his now shit-filled underwear and deposit them into the trash. Out on the roof. Some kid that thought he was good at every sport went out to bat in baseball during PE and he missed twice and then someone caught his ball. The next kid up had Down syndrome, which doesn't limit how he could play, but it just meant he was more jittery. He hit it way further than the other kid who thought he was great at everything, and that kid was so PD about it. It may not be as funny as some others, but it was mostly funny because the narcissistic kid was a jerk. There was this guy. His name was, no joke, Harold B.S. And yes, he went by Harry. He was on the swim team and some kid from the other school was reading out the lineup on a PA at a swim meet when he got to Harry Balls and clearly thought it was a joke, and he burst out laughing when he said it. Harry just walked off and quit the swim team. But if your name is Harold B.S., why would you go by Harry if you weren't going to own the joke? Right? He said he went by Harry and figured the kid did that for the DN joke. There's a kid I know whose name is Richard Ryder. He goes by DK sometimes just to PS off the teachers. Lol, this kid was a troublemaker and did a lot of inappropriate things during class, and the teacher once caught him for an unrelated reason and he begged on his knees not be sent out while the whole just watched and tried not to laugh. A couple guys I went to high school with came in one day wearing Spider-Man and Venom costumes under their clothes. During lunch they shed their regular clothes and fought. Who won? Nobody. Everyone lost that day. Except the principal for starting a betting pool on who would win and then kept all the money for himself. I get off the bus only to see a food fight caused by a couple that broke up 12 times. They are juniors. Yes. 12 times. Now that I think about it. A lot of the funny stuff at my school happened when they broke up and tried to get back together again. 12 FG times? Christ sake, was this the 12th breakup or the 13th? FTP. My wife likes to tell this story. Girl asks to go to the bathroom in PE. PE teacher says no. Girls asks again. Please. It's an emergency. PE teacher says, no way. Sorry. You should have thought of that in the locker room. Quote. Girl again begs. I'm going to lee my pants. PE teacher refuses. Girl pops a squat. Pulls gym shorts slightly aside and pees right on the gym floor. PE teacher. Oh no. Girl was my wife. We were being taught how to rewire plugs in science. All the components were laid out on our tables before we entered the room and we were following our science teacher's instructions. The wires were cut and they were not connected to anything. One of the girls in our class plugged her plug into the desk socket and flipped the switch as soon as she was done, to check if the plug worked, and there was a loud bang followed by a strong smell of an electrical fire, and our teacher immediately ran over with a Class C fire extinguisher and dealt with the issue, but both the girl and her lab partner had singed hair and eyebrows and had earache for the rest of the week. There was also the rumored huge ST in the boys' toilets that was the size of a Pringles can standing up on its end. Some people saw it when it was there, and a Polaroid photo was taken that a guy in the year above was selling for 50 PA. Look. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more videos.